Bhutan is about as far away from Australia as you can get. Tiny Himalayan kingdom sandwiched between India and China. It looks idyllic, beautiful, clean and peaceful. But not for Nepali ethnic Bhutanese. Kedar Achari was 4 years old when he fled, hitching a truck ride through India to Nepal and to a UN refugee camp where the young Kedar would spend the next 20 years.
I was born in Bhutan, a small country on the laps of the Asian continent. When I was 4 years old, I, along with all my family members, was evicted from my motherland, Bhutan.
Nearly 2 decades ago, Bhutan began expelling its Nepali ethnic residents. It lost 1/6 of its population. They were expelled 20 years ago from their country. Over 100,000 went to Nepal and lived in refugee camps ever since. Home to over 100,000 people, the camp had no clean water and poor education services. There was not enough food and inadequate healthcare. Today, no resolution in the crisis and not even one refugee allowed to return. Instead, they are languished for 20 years of miserable life in refugee camps. There was simply no future and hope there. In 2007, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugee, the UNHCR, passed the initiative allowing the nationless citizens to immigrate to their new home. Since that time, more than 100,000 have resettled to third countries including Australia. Around 4,500 have already resettled in Australia through humanitarian program.
The day I landed in Australia was the happiest day in my life, though I was full of sorrows in my head and heart as I left all my friends and relatives.
Pasu Sharma Lutel is another Bhutanese success story. Pasu also resettled in Melbourne, Australia and has been very active in the community.
I'm from Bhutan. I came to Australia 14 years ago. I came with my wife and 2 children, and one of my daughters born here in Australia.
Mitra Adhikari, a Bhutanese priest, came to Australia in 2011. He begins his day by worshipping God.
मेरो नाम मित्र अधिकारी हो। पूर्वी मुलुकको झापा अन्तर्गत टिमाई शिविरमा 18 वर्षसम्म बसोबासो गरियो। त्यही बसोबासो गर्ने क्रममा कहिले यसरी नै भगवानको सेवा पूजा आफ्नो धर्म संस्कार संस्कृतिलाई बचाउने क्रममा यसरी नै आफ्नो जीवनलाई निरन्तर लगाइरह्यो भने कहिले क्याम्प अन्तर्गत केही मात्रामा स्कुलहरू पनि थिए र नेपाली शिक्षकको रूपमा पनि आबद्ध भयो र नेपाली भाषालाई पनि अलिकति ज्ञानार्जन गराउने बाटामा पनि लागियो। म पूर्वी मुलुकको भुटानबाट यस अस्ट्रेलियामा 2011 फर्स्ट मार्चमा आइपुगेको हुँ।
Living in a multicultural nation, both Hindu and Buddhist people are happy to perform their rituals and culture with full rights and dignity.
मेरो नाम चाहिँ खासै यता मानवीर भनिन्छ, तर मलाई लामा गुरुजीले राखिदिनु भएको नाम चाहिँ दावा हो। 9 वर्षको उमेरदेखि लामा पढ्नु प्रवेश गरियो।
Bhutanese community's involvement in cultural activities. Barely 2 years old in the country. In 2010, Victoria celebrates the Premier's Gala Dinner in the Crown Casino, where 1,400 leaders, ministers, VIPs attend. And in 2010, Bhutanese community was given opportunity, and our community had performed Bhutanese and Nepali dance. This has given us an opportunity to introduce a country barely 2 years old in Australia. So that's one. After that, the preservation of culture, language and tradition and different religious ceremonies are the integral part of Bhutanese society, particularly the middle age and above. Without that, that's very difficult for Bhutanese. And as 3 generations of Bhutanese live in one house, and cultural preservation is a very key point to the Bhutanese parents.
The Australian Bhutanese community brings a rich cultural heritage with them, adding more spice to the Australian culture. Life in Australia is challenging for Bhutanese people, as they have to master a new language, environment, and new rules and regulations. Even with all these challenges, most Bhutanese refugees do not regret moving out of the camps. When it comes to cultural celebrations and festivals, young and old Bhutanese come together in harmony and participate actively. This participation reflects the vibrancy and cohesion of the barely 4-year-old Bhutanese community in Australia. Most Bhutanese seniors stay connected to the community through weekly cultural activities such as singing and chanting. Despite years of hardship in refugee camps, Bhutanese refugees remain positive in their new country. Social and religious activities allow them to maintain their culture while successfully adapting to a new one.